Hello, my name is Lucas, and I'm an astronaut. Today, I'm going to take you on an exciting journey through space. Our mission is to explore unknown planets, meet friendly aliens, and most importantly, learn English together. Are you ready? Let's go. Lucas was standing in the control room of a huge spaceship. Around him, astronauts were busy preparing for their mission. The spaceship was about to launch into the unknown, and everyone was excited. They were going to explore new worlds far beyond Earth. We've trained for months, Lucas continued, speaking to the camera. We're going to visit planets no human has ever seen before, and we need to learn some basic English to talk to the friendly aliens we might meet. Don't worry, I'll guide you through it. The spaceship engines roared to life, and the astronauts took their seats. Lucas looked out the window. The Earth was becoming smaller and smaller. He could feel the excitement growing. Look at that. We're leaving Earth. We're flying to the stars. Lucas exclaimed, pointing out the window as the spaceship broke through the clouds. The stars outside twinkled brightly, and the Earth below looked like a tiny blue marble. As the spaceship zoomed through space, Lucas began teaching the first English phrases that the astronauts would need to know. In space, we meet all kinds of creatures, and we must greet them politely. Let's start with hello. It's the first thing you say when you meet someone. He smiled at the camera and said, let's practice together. Repeat after me. Hello. The astronauts on the spaceship also practiced the word, saying it aloud. Lucas gave a thumbs up. Great. Now, when you meet someone new, you might ask them how they are. You can say, how are you? Let's try it. How are you? The astronauts repeated, smiling at each other. Excellent. Now, let's move on. In space, we might need to say goodbye to someone. We can say goodbye just like this. Lucas waved at the camera. Goodbye, Earth. We'll be back soon. The astronauts joined in, saying goodbye, as the spaceship continued its journey into the unknown. As they traveled further from Earth, Lucas explained that their mission would require teamwork. Learning English together will make everything easier. And if we need help, we can say, can you help me? Let's practice that one too. Can you help me? The astronauts repeated. Perfect, Lucas said, smiling. We're ready for whatever comes our way. Together, we can explore new planets and meet new friends all while learning English. The spaceship continued its journey, moving deeper into space as the stars seemed to grow closer. What would they find on their adventure? Only time would tell. But for now, the astronauts were ready. As horas passerami, finalmente, a nave spatial esse aproximava de planeta misterioso, Lucas olhou pela janela e via uma esfera colorida, com nuvens brilhantes e terras verdes. There it is, we've arrived, Lucas said, pointing excitedly to the planet outside. This is our new adventure. The astronauts gathered around the control panel, their eyes wide with excitement. The planet was unlike anything they had ever seen before. It was beautiful, with bright purple skies and strange, glowing plants. The ground below looked soft, almost like a carpet of moss, and the air seemed fresh and inviting. This is amazing, said one of the astronauts. Sarah, what do we do first? Lucas smiled and looked at her. First, we need to meet the locals. We're here to explore, and part of exploring is learning how to communicate. Let's start by learning some basic phrases in English. He turned to the group and began speaking. We're going to meet some friendly aliens. When we meet someone, we start with hello. This is a simple greeting. Let's practice it together. Ready? Hello. The astronauts repeated. Great, Lucas said, clapping his hands. Now, we need to ask the aliens where they are from. In English, we say, where are you from? Let's try it. Where are you from? The astronauts said, practicing the words. Lucas nodded approvingly. Perfect. Now, let's meet some aliens. The spaceship landed softly on the planet's surface, and the doors opened. The astronauts stepped outside and looked around. The air was cool, and they could hear strange sounds like music coming from the plants. Suddenly, they saw something moving in the distance. Look, Sarah pointed to a group of small, glowing creatures approaching. They were unlike anything the astronauts had seen before. They had 3 legs, 2 arms, and their bodies shimmered in the light. One of the creatures stepped forward. It was taller than the others and had big eyes that seemed to sparkle. It extended its hand and said something in a language the astronauts couldn't understand. Lucas quickly remembered the phrases they had learned. "Hello," Lucas said, smiling and waving. The creature blinked and tilted its head as if it understood. "Where are you from?" he asked, trying to speak slowly and clearly. The creature made a sound, then pointed to the sky and then to the ground. Lucas was a bit confused, but he tried to stay calm. "I think it's showing us that it comes from the stars, just like us," he said to the group. The alien seemed to smile and nod. It then pointed to a nearby rock and said something that sounded like Zyra. "I think that's the name of the planet," Lucas said excitedly. "The planet's name is Zyra." One of the astronauts, Mark, stepped forward and said, "Can we stay here and explore?" The alien nodded again and pointed to a path leading into the jungle. "Let's follow it," Lucas said. "But first, let's learn how to ask if we can explore. We can say, 'Can we stay here?' or 'Can we explore?' Let's practice that. Can we explore?" The astronauts repeated. "Well done," Lucas praised. "Now we're ready for an adventure." The astronauts followed the alien down the path, which was lined with trees and plants that seemed to move when they touched them. It was as if the planet itself was alive, breathing with them. As they walked, Lucas continued teaching them useful English phrases. If you want to ask someone about something, you can say, "What is this?" "Let's try it together." "What is this?" The astronaut said, looking at the strange plants. The alien smiled and pointed to a glowing flower. "This is Zyra's special flower," it said in simple English, as if it had learned the language too. "It is used for healing." Lucas and the astronauts were amazed. They had not expected the alien to speak any English, but it was becoming clear that communication was possible with a little effort. "Thank you," Lucas said, turning to the group. "Now, we can say thank you when someone helps us." "Let's try it." "Thank you," the astronauts said in unison. The group continued down the path, eager to learn more and explore Zyra. With every step, they felt more connected to this new world and to the English words that were helping them communicate. As the astronauts ventured deeper into the alien forest, they were amazed by the beauty of Zyra. The plants glowed in the dark, and the air smelled sweet, like a mixture of flowers and fresh rain. The alien they had met earlier, which they now called Zyra, led them through the forest with ease. "We're learning so much already," Lucas said, turning to the group. "But now it's time for a challenge. We need to communicate more clearly with Zyra, and it's not always easy. Sometimes, we may not understand each other right away. That's why it's important to practice." Just then, the group came to a clearing. There was a large, glowing object in the center of the area, and it seemed to be humming. The astronaut stopped and stared at it. "What is this?" Sarah asked, pointing at the object. The creature, Zyra, turned to her with a puzzled expression. Lucas said, "Let's try our new phrase. Remember how we practiced asking, 'What is this?' in English? Let's use it here." The astronauts turned to the glowing object and said together, "What is this?" Zyra made a sound, then pointed at the object and said a word in its language, but the astronauts couldn't understand it. They looked at each other, unsure of what to do next. "Okay, this is a perfect opportunity to learn more," Lucas said, smiling. "When we don't understand something, we can ask the person to explain. In English, we can say, 'Can you explain?' Let's practice. 'Can you explain?'" The astronauts repeated. Zyra looked at them for a moment and then made a motion as if pointing to the sky. "Zyra," it said again, and this time it pointed to the glowing object. "It is the Star of Zyra." "Oh, I see," Lucas said. "It's called the Star of Zyra, and it's important for the planet." He turned to the astronauts and repeated what Zyra had said. When we don't understand something, asking "Can you explain?" is a very useful question. Let's practice it again. Ready, can you explain? The astronauts said. Cyrus smiled, understanding that they were trying. The alien then used its hands to gesture and explain the star's purpose. It was clear now that the object was a source of energy for the planet. This ... gives life. Cyrus said simply, "Thank you." Lucas said, excited that they were starting to understand more. "Let's practice saying thank you again when we learn something new." Ready, thank you, the astronauts responded. The group continued their journey through the forest, but soon they came to a small village. The houses looked like they were made of the same glowing material as the plants. The villagers, also small aliens, were busy working outside their homes. "We're about to meet more aliens," Sarah said, her eyes wide. "What should we say?" "Let's review," Lucas said. "When we meet someone, we say hello. When we want to ask about them, we say where are you from? And if we need help, we can ask, can you help me? Let's try it." The astronauts practiced saying the phrases in unison. "Hello, where are you from? Can you help me?" When they approached one of the villagers, the alien looked up at them with curiosity. It smiled, but instead of speaking English, it said something in its language that sounded like a melody. "Oh, I don't understand," Mark said, looking at Lucas. "No worries," Lucas said with a grin. "We can ask again. Let's use can you explain to ask the alien to help us understand. Can you explain?" They said together, hoping the alien would understand. The villager blinked, then smiled. "Yes," it replied in clear English. "You are travelers from the stars." Welcome, the astronauts were surprised and delighted to hear the alien speak their language. "Thank you," they said, practicing the new phrase. The alien led them to a large stone table where the villagers were working. They showed the astronauts how to gather special plants used for healing. "These plants are important for the people of Zyra," the alien explained. "Can you help? Can we help?" the astronauts asked. "Yes, please," the alien smiled. The astronauts eagerly helped with the plants, carefully picking them and placing them on the table. They were thrilled to be part of the village's work. As the sun set, casting a warm glow over the village, Lucas turned to the group. "We've learned so much today. We practiced new phrases, and we've helped the villagers. Learning English with each other is making all of this possible." The next day, the astronauts set off to explore more of Zyra. The landscape was even more stunning than before. The sky was a mix of purple and blue, and the trees seemed to stretch higher than any trees they had seen back home. The air felt fresh, and the ground was covered in soft, glowing moss. "We're going to see more of this amazing planet today," Lucas said with excitement. "And along the way, we'll continue learning more English phrases that will help us communicate with the aliens here." As they walked, they came across a large river. The water sparkled under the sunlight, and fish with glowing scales swam gracefully. "How do we ask about this river?" Sarah wondered aloud. "Let's try using what we've learned," Lucas said. "We can ask, what is this? Let's practice together. What is this?" They all asked as they looked at the river. Zyra, who had been leading them, turned to them and smiled. "This is the river of stars," she said in her melodic language. She then pointed to the fish swimming in the river. "These fish are called lumen fish, lumen fish." Sarah repeated, fascinated. "What do they do?" Zyra smiled again, and using gestures, she explained that the lumen fish were important because they helped clean the river, keeping it pure and safe for the planet. The astronauts repeated the new word, lumen fish, they said together. "This is another great opportunity to learn more," Lucas said. "When we want to know more about something, we can say, what do they do? Let's practice that now." "What do they do?" they all said, asking about the lumen fish. Zyra explained that the lumen fish could heal the water and make it healthier for everyone. The astronauts were amazed. As they continued along the river, they came across a group of alien children playing in the grass. They were laughing and jumping, having fun in their own way. "I want to say hello to them," Sarah said, "but I'm not sure how." "No worries," Lucas replied. "Let's use the simple phrase we learned. Hello." And if you want to ask them what they're doing, you can say, "What are you doing?" The astronauts turned to the children and said together, "Hello." The children paused and looked up at them, smiling. One of the children pointed at the others and said, "We are playing." Mark repeated, "I want to learn how to play with them." Zyra, noticing their interest, said, "I can teach you some games." She gestured for the astronauts to follow her, leading them to a clearing where the children were playing a game that involved jumping and touching glowing stones. "Let's play," Zyra said, holding out a glowing stone. The astronauts hesitated for a moment, but then they joined in, trying to copy the children's movements. They laughed together as they played, jumping and touching the stones. "Look at how much we're learning today," Lucas said, out of breath but happy. "Not only are we learning about the planet, but we're also practicing English. We're using phrases like 'What are you doing?' and 'Let's play.'" The children showed them more games, and the astronauts practiced the phrases in English while having fun. They learned new words for different actions like jump, run, and touch, and repeated them with the children. After a few hours of playing, the group sat down to rest by the river. The sun was beginning to set, casting a warm, golden light over the landscape. "We've learned so much today," Sarah said, looking around at her friends. "We've learned how to ask about things, how to play games, and how to say thank you." "Yes, and we've made new friends along the way," Lucas added with a smile. Zyra sat with them, looking content. She spoke in her language, and Lucas translated. "Thank you for playing with us. We are happy you are here." The astronaut smiled, grateful for the opportunity to connect with Zyra and the children. They had made progress not only in understanding the alien culture, but also in improving their English skills. As the sun began to set on Zyra, the astronauts gathered around Zyra, who had something important to share. "We are about to face a big challenge," Zyra said with a serious look. "To make this planet a better place, we need to work together. There is a part of Zyra that has been affected by a storm. The storm made it hard for plants and animals to survive. We need your help to restore it." The astronauts exchanged looks, ready for the challenge ahead. "We can do this," Lucas said with determination. "But first, we need to understand the task. What do we need to do?" Zyra smiled. "You will help us plant new trees and clean up the area. We'll work as a team, and we'll need to use our English to communicate effectively." Sarah nodded. "Let's do it. But before we begin, how do we say something like, 'I can help' in English?" "That's a great question," Lucas said. "You can say, 'I can help.' It's a simple and useful phrase." The astronauts practiced saying the phrase aloud, excited to use it in the upcoming task. "I can help," they all repeated, ready to take action. Zyra led them to the area affected by the storm. It was a large, open field with broken trees and scattered debris. The one slush plants had withered away, and the sky above them seemed heavy with sadness. "We will work in pairs," Zyra explained. "Each pair will have to clean up the area and plant new trees. Let's start by picking up the debris. You can say, 'Can you help me?' when you need assistance." The astronauts looked at each other, eager to start. "Okay, let's begin," Mark said, grabbing a piece of debris. He turned to Sarah and asked, "Can you help me with this? I can help." Sarah replied with a smile, and together they moved the debris. Lucas and Emily worked nearby, using the same phrase to ask for help. "Can you help me with this?" Lucas asked, and Emily quickly jumped in to help him. They worked as a team, picking up the debris and moving it to a large pile. The simple phrase, "Can you help me?" became a key part of their teamwork. They used it whenever they needed to collaborate, and soon the area was looking much cleaner. Once the area was cleared, Zyra handed out small saplings of trees. "Now it's time to plant the new trees," she said. "When you plant a tree, you can say, 'Let's plant it here.' It's a good way to communicate where you want the tree to go." The astronauts took turns planting the saplings. "Let's plant it here," Lucas said as he dug a hole in the soft soil and placed a small tree inside. "I like this, it feels good to help," Emily said, planting another tree. Zyra smiled. You are doing very well. The new trees will help restore this part of Zyra, and the plants and animals will soon return. As they continue planting, they noticed the sky growing brighter. It was as if the planet was responding to their efforts, slowly healing. It's amazing how much we can do when we work together, Sarah said, looking at the group. It really is. Mark agreed. And we're learning so many useful phrases along the way. We can ask for help, offer help, and work as a team. Zyra nodded. Your teamwork is inspiring. Together, we can make Zyra a better place. With the last tree planted, the astronauts stood back to admire their work. The field, once barren, was now full of life. The trees swayed gently in the breeze, and the sky was brighter, as if it, too, was happy with their efforts. We did it, Lucas said, his face beaming with pride. And we've learned a lot along the way. Zyra turned to them, grateful. Thank you for helping us restore Zyra. You've made a difference today. The astronauts looked around at the trees they had planted, feeling proud of their work. They had not only helped the planet, but had also learned valuable English phrases that would help them in the future. They had worked together, communicated effectively, and made a real impact. After days of hard work and learning, the astronauts stood on a hill overlooking the newly restored area of Zyra. The trees they had planted were already starting to grow, and the planet seemed brighter, more alive than ever. The once dull sky had turned a brilliant shade of purple, and the air felt fresh and full of promise. We did it, Sarah said, smiling as she looked at the beautiful landscape. We've helped Zyra recover, and we've learned so much along the way. It feels amazing, Mark agreed, not just because we helped the planet, but because we learned so many English phrases that we can use in real life. Lucas nodded. Yes, phrases like "Can you help me?" and "Let's plan it here" have been so helpful. And we've worked together as a team, which is what made all of this possible. Zyra stood beside them, beaming with gratitude. I am so proud of all of you, she said. You have helped Zyra heal, and I've enjoyed watching you grow in your English. You've learned not only the language, but also the importance of teamwork. The astronauts turned to her, their hearts full of appreciation. Thank you for everything, Zyra, Lucas said. We've learned a lot, and we'll take these lessons with us. Zyra nodded. Remember, you can always return. Zyra will always be here, waiting for you. As the astronauts prepared to leave, they took one last look at the planet. It felt like they were leaving a part of themselves behind, but they also knew they had made a real difference. The bond they had created with Zyra and each other was something that would last a lifetime. Let's go home, Emily said, her voice filled with excitement. The astronauts boarded their spaceship, and as the engines hummed to life, they waved goodbye to Zyra. The planet, now full of life, seemed to wave back. On the journey back to Earth, they reflected on everything they had accomplished. They had explored a new world, learned important English phrases, and, most importantly, worked together to help an entire planet. We're heading home, but we're also bringing home something special, Sarah said. We're bringing home new knowledge, new friendships, and new language skills. As the spaceship traveled through the stars, the astronauts smiled, feeling proud of everything they had achieved. The journey had been challenging, but it had also been incredibly rewarding. They had faced obstacles, learned new things, and made a difference in the world, and they were ready to share everything they had learned with others. As the spaceship began its descent back to Earth, the astronauts knew that their adventure on Zyra was just the beginning of many more to come. And as they looked out the window, the stars sparkled brightly, reminding them that there was so much more to explore, learn, and discover. If you enjoyed this adventure with the astronauts and learned some valuable English phrases along the way, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Join us for the next exciting adventure, where we'll learn even more together. Keep practicing, and remember, learning English is an amazing journey. See you next time.